Hey all, this is like my own personal marketplace type investigation of something that's gone on the last couple of days with me here. You know, to be clear, I'm no mechanic, but I do have a lot of mechanic friends, and you know, feel free, chime in, yay or nay. All I ask is that you watch the whole video, give me your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with how things went down. To put it in perspective and to finish it off, I had a choice, and the choice I made was, after yesterday, was to take it somewhere else to get it inspected, somewhere that I trust. The people there, they're good people with good mechanics, independent garage type of place to do the inspection. And after $30 more this morning, the car is inspected. Not only is it inspected, I know that it's safe. I know it is, because they wouldn't inspect it otherwise. So anyway, watch the video. Let me know what you think. Chime in, especially if you're a professional mechanic, which I have many friends that are professional mechanics. Just let me know what you think. Thanks. Hey guys. So we took the car into Central Nova Hyundai yesterday for an inspection. So I'm going to do a little video because I didn't believe what they told me. So I'm going to do a little bit of a video to show you just what went on there. So the first thing is, they tell me that my front rotors are rotten. That's the word they used. Rotten. Do they look rotten to you? They look like they're fucking brand new is what they look like. By the way, the car's got 97,000 kilometers on it, and they've already soaked me once for a complete brake job on it when I took it in for inspection. As you can see, that's a hell of a lot of pad. Alright, so on to rotten rotor round 2. This is the other side of the front. Much to his credit, he got that this caliper bolt here was seeping, which would explain why I lost some brake fluid. Kind of ironic, since I've never had a caliper off of this, but I believe they did replace one. I can check the bill from 2 years ago to see if it was this one or not. Yeah, so like I said, rotten rotor round 2, you know, rusty rotor. Just like every single rotor out there that you ever look at that's been on a car for a while. Now, the other thing that he stated was that the front brake pads were sticking in the cradle, and it was grooved, and both cradles needed to be replaced. Now, anybody that's ever touched a set of front brake pads can tell you that brake pads don't ride in the cradle. They ride in the brake clips that come with every new set of brake pads, which, and this is, like I said, the other set of new brake pads that they would have put on a while ago. And as you can tell, they're wearing pretty evenly, so there isn't a whole fuck of a lot sticking, is there? Anyway, so we pull the clips out, take a look at them. They're not grooved, so how can anything be sticking? Yeah, he did get that, and I can fix that pretty quick and easy. So I'll let you know how we make out in the back. Alright, so now we're on to the rotten rears, as they called it. 2 rear rotors rotten. Brake pad sticking on left rear pivot, which I will get to when I get to that side, I guess. It is seized. Park brake shoes, $90. Now, I'm assuming he must have had the other rotor off the other side, because it's an internal parking brake on these, which very rarely gets used, obviously, because it's an automatic car, but it does work just fine. You know, shitload of pad left here. By the look of the bolts here, he may have had this caliper off, but it sure doesn't look like it here. I'd be very, very surprised if this caliper was off. And I know by looking at these screws here that this rotor definitely wasn't off. So I'm going to pull these pads off here, take a look, clean everything up, and then when I get to the left side, we'll see if their bill corresponds with what I've seen, because other than the leaky front flex line on the front, which I just fixed with 2 brand new copper washers, everything else up there is fine. Okay guys, we're on to the final rotten rotor of the 4 that they claimed are rotten. Looks pretty solid to me, wearing pretty good as well. Now on this side, they claim that the emergency brake shoe, which is inside the rotor, is sticking on one pivot, which they're going to clean up. Now, if you look here, I'm not convinced that the caliper's been off, but the bolt there that holds the cradle for the caliper and the brake shoes, which has to be removed before removing these 2 screws to remove this, to see what's going on with the emergency brake. So how could he say it was sticking? So it's not sticking there. We'll put the brake on. Check it. Emergency brake's working pretty good. Take the brake off, come back out, and it's turning pretty free. So yeah, why would he want to replace the rear brake shoes if he hasn't had it off to even see what's in there? All right, so we're still here on the left rear, and for the sake of transparency reasons, I figured I would do what wasn't done at the dealer. Tear the rotor off, see what we got, you know. Plenty of pad there, for sure. Rotor's in pretty good shape. A little rusty on the backside, which is to be expected, because all rotors rust. That's what they do. And you know, like if they still cut rotors, which they don't, you know, or if I had a brake lathe, take a couple thou off that, there's nothing wrong with it. But obviously it's not warped. The car rides perfect, and there's tons and tons and tons of steel left. So yeah, you know, one thing I hate is drum brakes. I absolutely hate it. So like, you know, if work needed to be done here, I wouldn't have had any issues at all paying somebody to do it, but not without them even knowing what was in there before they took it apart. All right, so to reiterate, I'll read the description that they put on the bill. Found front brake pads sticking in cradle, grooved, $137. Now, you know, as we know, they don't ride in the cradle, they ride in stainless steel slots that, you know, stainless steel spring slots that snap in there. So, bullshit. 2 front rotors rotten, $210. No. Right front caliper seeping fluid at flex hose connection, $35 for a new gasket and bleed required. I don't mind paying for, like, you know, $35 for a new gasket. Well, the new gasket is 2 copper washers, as anybody who ever dealt with a brake line knows. It's not leaking on the flex hose or the end of the flex hose. It's actually leaking on the banjo bolt that goes into the caliper with 2 copper gaskets. So if they want to charge me $35 for 2 copper gaskets plus labor, then probably would have paid it. Wouldn't have even questioned it. 2 rear rotors rotten, $280, which again, as I showed, that's bullshit. There's all kinds of rotor there. They're not rotten. They're barely even rusty compared to what a lot of rotors usually look like. Brake pad sticking on left rear pivot. It is seized. So, like I showed, he didn't have it apart. So I'm not exactly sure how he knew what was going on there. Probably mechanics, you know, if you work on it every day and you do take them apart, you probably know some, like, you know, like I'll give him that. And was it sticking when I took it apart? A little bit, yes. Enough for it to fail an inspection? Can't imagine. Because it hasn't been dragging, because like I said, we use it. Park brake shoes, $90, which then again, you know, aren't worn out. They obviously weren't worn out when I looked at them. There was lots there. So now they got 4-wheel brake service, $170. So, which is fine, you know, if that's what they're going to charge, it's $170. But what's in a 4-wheel brake service is what I'd like to know. Because after 4-wheel brake service, they're charging me 2.1 hours of labor to repair it all. So if they're going in there and putting rotors on, is that included in the brake service? Is that the labor of the brake service that they're charging me $170 for? Or is that the other labor? To me, it looks like like they were going to work on all four brakes is what they were going to work on. So the 2.1 hours labor, give them that. Can't argue with labor time. You know, everybody's different, and if that's what their computer tells them they're going to charge, that's what they're going to charge. But if that's the case, what's the 4-wheel brake service? So good question. Anyway, you add all that up, it's $912. I don't know what they charge an hour over there, but it's got to be $100 an hour, I would assume. So we'll add another $220 to that. So now we're at $1132 plus 15% tax, which is another what? Oh, another $113 and 56, we'll say, for rough numbers. Another $170. So it would have taken $1,300 to get out the door there to fix all of this stuff. That the only thing I saw wrong was a leaky flex hose. Granted, you know, I'm not a Red Seal mechanic, but they're not being transparent here. So whether it's because the name on the bill is Bardmore's, you know, obviously a family car, you know, I have no idea. I'm not going to try to explain it. And I'm just trying to decide whether I post a video, give them a chance to refute it, put the sticker on, which they charge us for. They did charge us for an inspection, which obviously I had no problem paying for, $40-some. And they said if you bring it back within 10 days and you've repaired all of this stuff, then they'll put the sticker on it. Well, I've gone through it all. I have repaired the leak on the front seal, and the rear brake's not sticking. So do I give them a chance to slap a sticker on it, or do I take it somewhere else, post this video, just to give people an idea of what goes on in this dealership particularly? And obviously, you know, it's a recurring problem. You know, we've all watched Marketplace and seen some of the things that go on. You know, even down to the fast oil change places. You know, like it's all about upsell. They're directed from the office to upsell, upsell, upsell. So whether they're told here to upsell, 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 I have no idea. But anyway, that's my story on Central Nova Hyundai in New Glasgow, Nova Scotia.